Nothing like some good old-fashioned wrestling to work out your feelings. Thank you to our final patrons, Strawbones and Aaron. Now, before we hop into this breakdown / review of chapter 196 of Jujutsu Kaisen, please do leave your own notes on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. You can support for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Now, let's hop into the review. What's up, guys? I'm Culling, and here we are to review chapter 196 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is known as Sakurajima Colony number 6, aka Maki finally gets a teacher. But enough of that, let's hop right into the chapter itself. So we open up and we learn that Mio's domain is all about sumo, which, I don't know, pretty heavily implied from his character. Makes sense. And due to that, a barrier is only formed after someone consents to doing sumo, because you can't just force someone into sumo, which is why he's been going around asking everybody, sumo, 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 and every time they said no, the domain wouldn't properly activate. Meanwhile, here, we see that he has part of the domain set up. Hypothetically, the sumo ring is, I assume, part of the domain, but it's not activated yet. And we see that Mio is like, hey, yo, chill. Come on now, relax. All them nice muscles, they're gonna go slack. You stay all stressed like that. You need to calm down. I got a question for you. Do you like sumo? And I will admit, it is very interesting to have characters like Mio and Daido in the Culling games at this point, because really, everybody's been hostile. Like, no matter what, out of all the 4 fights we've had previously, there's not been a single, like, hey, do you want to fight kind of person. There's always been like, hey, we're gonna fight. And there's been no exception to that. Higuruma wanted to throw hands. Reggie, his whole crew wanted to throw hands. Everyone in Sendai wanted to throw hands. Kashimo lived, died, and breathed throwing hands. And to be fair, obviously Daido and Mio also live and die by the hand throwing. But they they're nice about it. They'll be like, hey, my mom said it was okay for us to throw hands as long as your mom said it was okay. Oh, your mom said, so is mine. Perfect. So I don't know. It's very, very interesting that these two have taken this role, especially in this colony. I'm not sure why, but like, considering every other Culling Games colony has been so remarkably violent. Like, remember, Tokyo Colony, Yuji couldn't even land before bro was getting attacked. In Sendai, Yuta was, admittedly though, Sendai was in a stalemate until Yuta was like, hey, let's just not do that anymore. And annihilated Drew. Another thing about it, I mean, it's probably Kashimo's fault, I'm not gonna lie. Panda was in a pretty peaceful colony to the point where he was just sitting on top of the roof, and Hakari and Bernard were just like riding around on an elevator. Or not an elevator, idiot. Riding around on a Ferris wheel. So they was pretty chill too, but I'm gonna blame Kashimo for that. I'm assuming he was running around and just slaughtering everybody, because bro had 200 points. I bet there were a whole bunch of violence in there until Kashimo was like, you know, let's throw hands without your consent. And we just see this colony, the Sakurajima colony, being so like calm and almost like at peace. Like, admittedly, Maki was running around slaughtering things, but those are like curses. She wasn't slaughtering other players or humans or anything like that. And Kamo's been here too, but that wasn't, once again, lack of bodies hitting the floor. Meanwhile, Naoya came in and was just focused on getting Maki up out of here. So that's like isolated violence. And Daido and Mio are now here, and they're also isolated violence. Like, they aren't all about like running around, destroying the entire area, destroying other sorcerers. They're much more there. They're there for the kicks, much more than like actual the game itself, which is very interesting. I hope, like, now that I think about it, we're kind of run out of main characters. Like, who else would we cut to other than Miwa in the Sendai, who's already done? Like, I'm not sure who's left in Sendai. Like, the big 4-way stalemate was annihilated by one man. So I'm not exactly sure what Miwa would do in her colony. Maybe fight some lower level guys. But after this, I'm not sure where we'd go, because I think like the early stages of the Culling games are ending with this fight, because unless Nobara comes back and we get like a whole mini arc centered around her, like we're getting here with every other main character. But think about it. Megumi's done. Yuji's done. Yuta's done. Hakari's done. Panda's done. Like, Inumaki, I don't think he's a combatant anymore, unfortunately. So I really think we're kind of moving on to at least the middle stage of the Culling games after this mini arc. So I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. However, back to the chapter itself. Sorry, I went a bit of a diatribe there. We do get to see that Mio's like, come on, you know you wanna. Let's sumo. I don't know. Still, his design is something that I can't get over. That weird hair hat thing that makes him look like a kappa. But we see that, once again, due to the fact that this is purely sumo, this is all that Mio's into, the binding vow in his domain is that it can only activate if they both say yes. And we see that Mio, he's gotten a bit desperate, right? Because bro's been running around for who knows how long, traveled from wherever he was all the way to Sakurajima by pure accident, and found the perfect person to sumo against. He can tell Maki has the gains, and he's like, please, let's sumo. I know you want to fight. And to be fair, if that's like your entire lifestyle, and you've just been deprived of it for who knows how long, you know, sometimes you just gotta beg people to sumo, especially if you run into a person who seems perfect for it. Might as well. And we see that Maki's like, well, I obviously ain't doing nothing with that katana. Daido's got Naoya right now, and Kamo, you need to chill out. So sure, let's fight. It feels, I'll admit, it does feel just random. Like something that, if you'd asked me was gonna happen, I wouldn't think was gonna happen. But I'm happy about it. Because it feels like the one thing I'll give Gege, right, is he's been theming each of the fights differently by choice, like bit by bit. Like, Higuruma was a fight between two misunderstood individuals lost in the world. Really, Megumi's fight was a duel between, like, actual, genuine, an evolving demon and demons that already exist. Like, a monster on the rise in Megumi, and a monster that established themselves in Reggie. Meanwhile, Yuta's whole battle was, like, I just call it the apex of Jujutsu, right? Like, the strongest curse output, the blessed one, she who controls the sky, a seas of cockroaches. Like, it was really, if you were to ask me the peak of Jujutsu, the only thing that really comes close to that is, like, Gojo versus Sakuna. Not Gojo. So Jogo versus Sakuna. I'm sorry, their names are so similar. Where they were like flying around through buildings, throwing around massive fire explosions, destroying everything. Like, that's the only thing that really comes close when it comes to like Sendai. Then you have Hakari versus Kashima, where it was just like two idiots. Like, I wish I could say the theming was more complex than that. And it most certainly is, right? But I love, because it's really the gambler versus the guaranteed. Kashimo is level, consistent, guaranteed power, who has a sure hit technique using his cursed energy property. Meanwhile, Hakari is all about that gamble, all about that risk, all about that life. So it really is the guarantee versus the gamble there. But I just like it's two idiots fighting, because that's all I see. They're both battle crazed nutcases, and I love it. Meanwhile, this colony seems to be themed all around growth. The growth and acceptance of oneself. Look at Kamo being here, someone who was just outcast and now needs to find a new purpose. Look at Maki, who was seemingly completed her purpose, getting revenge on the Zenin clan. Now needs to find a new way to evolve, a new way to grow, to make herself relevant, make herself equal, and surpass Toji on all levels, not just strength. So I like the way each of these has been going, and I think Maki is even giving into that idea, like, yes, I've been too strict, I've been too focused, I need to learn. And we see that as Kamo presses her, like, Maki, what are you doing? It's too late, because Mio just explodes with, and then immediately the barrier pops up. And once again, I really wonder about barriers, because if they can be broken, like, how strong is this barrier? Is the power of sumo so mighty that if Naoya were to just crash into this barrier looking for Maki, because obviously he doesn't really care about Daido, he wants Maki's head right now. Like, would the barrier actually stop? Would Mio just be interrupted? I don't know. But we see the barrier form, and Naoya is shocked, and so is Daido. But as Kamo's crying, what are you thinking? The barrier begins to close, and Maki's like, you know what? Funny ass that. I've been thinking a bit too much. So I'm just going to go in here, let me relax a bit, and have a little bit of fun. You know what I'm saying? And I can't knock that hustle. But I can knock the fact that the like button is free and the subscribe button. So please hit those. I greatly appreciate it and help out the channel a lot. However, it's interesting that Maki, before the battle even begins with Mio, she's like, I've been thinking too much. I've just been overcomplicating things. Let me just relax. And I don't know, like, I guess Maki really has been, right? Because she's had so much on her mind, right? Like, she's obviously been running through the different barriers, slaughtering everything she can get her hands on, racking up points. At the same time, she's also dealing with the fact that she just slaughtered her entire clan and lost her only sister. She's also dealing with that. And now she's dealing with the whole fact that the one guy she hated the most is now back and running around. Then on top of that, she's dealing with the fact that she's just not on the same level as that one random dude who showed up in a sweater and jeans and just annihilated an entire disaster curse spirit that she couldn't do. Like, there's so much probably swirling through her mind that just a simple game of sumo would probably be good to help her relax and just unwind. And I'm glad that Mio just appeared to provide really what this domain is just a safe haven for Maki to just unwind. Kamo, let's hope Dido protects him. I don't know what bro's doing out there while Dido is fighting for his life against Naoya and Naoya is fighting against Dido so he can go get Maki's life. But we do get to see that Mio and Maki slam down into this domain. And we see that what Maki immediately questions is, what is it that I'm not seeing? What is it? And notably, if you were to ask me what Maki is lacking in comparison to someone like Toji, is what I'd say the same thing that we only got a glimpse of, a whiff of, a taste of from Yuta, and what Uro said Yuta was lacking. It's that same almost animalistic glee. Or, like, I'd say animalistic glee slash that monstrous nature that Sukuna, Gojo, and I'd say for a flash of a second we saw it in Sendai for Yuta. That thing that just gave way to not the reasons for why one fights, not the understanding or motives or anything like that, just the pure need for battle. And admittedly, he shouldn't give 100% into it because that's what got Toji killed. Like, reasonably, after he completed his job, he should have just dipped. Like, Toji could still be a relative and relevant part of the series if he just ran from Gojo at that point. The moment he saw that boy awakened and got RCT, boy should have ran. However, regardless of that, that sort of detachment, that sort of real ascension of realms is what I think Maki is lacking. And on top of that, I think it is just a simple thing of she doesn't know her new body's limits. Like, she says in her original fight with Naoya, oh, with this new body, I can see that now. But all of her senses need to catch up to a mind that likely was enhanced, but not enhanced clearly. Once again, I believe I made this analogy before, but imagine you got put into the body of someone 10 times stronger than you. Sure, you may realize, oh yeah, I'm stronger than I was before, I'm faster than I was before, I'm overall a better individual than I was before, but you don't know the limits of that new body. You don't know what else you can do with it. You don't know what other minor factors have changed because of the body swap. And that's essentially what happened with Maki. She got pretty much a body swap. Meanwhile, all the growth she's had up to previously was organic. She grew with it, she understood it. That's why she was such a skilled fighter beforehand. But with these new limits, this new body, everything that comes with it, all the amps and whatever else, it's still not there yet. She still is so wrapped up in the past that she can't acknowledge the present and learn about the future. However, we do get to see that as they both line up for Sumo, Maki is going to use this occasion to try and figure that out and focus on nothing else but that. And we get to see that her lunging in immediately causes Mio to slip out of her grasp and body bag her, like straight. Like, and I love it, right? Because Mio, who was so desperate for Sumo, the moment Maki lunges in, he's like, wait a minute. I may have made a drastic miscalculation, and immediately slips behind her. And we see that Maki is somewhat able to react. Like, she turns and swings her arm to try and catch him, but he ducks, locks her arm in, and then immediately flips her, showing that sort of like supreme control over his own body and the understanding that he has over other bodies through Sumo. And she's even like genuinely shocked. Like, you see when she's being flipped, she's like, I'm sorry, what? And immediately lands face first. And we see that Mio now realizing that, oh yeah, okay. So she has the gains. She does have the gains, but we're having fun here. This is Sumo. This is what I'm talking about, baby. And we see he says, Sumo is the best, but I know you're more than this, young lady. The moment we started the match, I knew you'd devour me if I faced you head on. And that's great. I like how, even though she has no cursed energy, just her presence still gives off that same, like, oh yeah, this is a being that's just completely physically superior to most other beings in every single way. I love how Maki just passively gives off that impression to even a sumo master like Mio. And we get to see that Mio's like, level with me real quick. What's up? What's on your mind right now? You ain't concentrated. You're separated. What you thinking about? What you doing? Huh? Come on now. Need me to... let me not do that. Let me not do that impression. But regardless, it's interesting. It's very... Once again, because of the violence I'm used to, right? Because of how the Culling games have been established as this bloodthirsty, wild, dog eat dog, we do whatever needs to be done to survive and win sort of battle state. It's so interesting to see Mio just be like, okay, something's up. What's wrong? You want to talk about it? Why can't you concentrate? What are you thinking about? Like, he's just asking her why she isn't giving it her all. Meanwhile, give Mio Reddy's personality here, and he would have dropped a house on her the moment he flipped her. Give Mio Higuruma's personality before the whole Yuji purity reveal, and the executioner's blade would have been in Maki's throat. Like, sub out pretty much any enemy before whatever twists they have or deals they made, in the case of the Sendai colony survivors and Kashimo, and there wouldn't be a conversation of why can't you concentrate. It would have been more of the lines of, you weren't concentrating? Okay, die. Like, so I don't know. It's almost whiplash, but it's the good kind of whiplash where it's like, no, let's have a conversation about your feelings and why you aren't focused on the art and beauty of sumo. I love it. And we do get to see that Maki actually kind of looks at Mio and just realizes something. That in reality, no one really could teach her anything. In the sense of, like, proper combat for someone like her. And it's not because of any, like, deep, it's not like Maki was a prideful individual. It's not anything like that. It's just that no one in the Jujutsu world would fight like her. Like, one of the biggest things that Ogi mentions when he fights her before her awakening is like, you fought me like I was a regular person. You didn't fight me like I was a sorcerer. So you thought the moment my blade broke, I was done. But you fool, you are fighting sorcerers, not men. So since her teachers, even Kusakabe, were inherently sorcerers to some degree, even the new shadow style is admittedly a sorcery technique, there naturally would always be some sort of detachment there. Like, Satoru Gojo may be amazing at throwing hands, but the way he throws hands with cursed energy reinforcement, understanding that he can heal himself, all that, the way Kusakabe uses a sword, the way he can use new shadow style to amp his reaction speed, stuff like that, all that is a lot different than what Maki can do with just pure physicals. All that is very, very different, and thusly, whatever teachings that they had, while useful, that got Maki to where she was, admittedly, a low grade 1 sorcerer by the time she arrived at Shibuya, it still wasn't enough. It wasn't an extra bit of sauce she needed. So she would need teachers that are essentially just pure combat. Like, even Mio here, who is using a domain, who does have cursed energy, is still just a sumo guy. That's all he is. There's nothing else outside of that. The jujutsu enables his fighting rather than the fighting enabling his jujutsu. Does that analogy work? I'm not sure if that analogy works. But essentially, through Daido and Mio, Maki can learn like she's never learned before. The only hypothetical other better teacher she could have had was Doji. But she should have got one glimpse of Homeboy and he died. Again. So that's all she can hope for. And we get to see that she, by having these people to rely on, these people who are in a sense just like her, someone with no cursed abilities, just happens to be a really strong swordsman, and someone with one cursed ability that is based all around hand-to-hand fighting, she's allowed to finally learn from someone better than her in a field that only they can understand as physical warriors. And I think that's great. I think that's cool that Maki's got that, especially this late. Like, you would think post the Zenin clan massacre, she would just be at her peak, right? Like, there's nowhere else for her to go. She's Toji now. Why would you need to get any better than that? But the like button's free and so subscribe button, so I'd really appreciate if you hit both of those. But the thing about it is, she still has so much room to grow because of the fact that just because you have the raw physicals of somebody does not mean you have their skill, their dexterity, their ability, their experiences, all that. So she's the new Toji in the physical sense, but she's not the new Toji in the actualized sense. So this is what her new path is, discovering who she is as a warrior at the full mercy of zero curse energy. And we see that Mio actually understands what she's saying. And he's like, okay, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. You don't really get what that samurai meant, but you fool. You imbecile, I understand. And Mio turns and tells her to stand up. And he says, once again, let's sumo. Because, not just because he wants to sumo again, but because he doesn't know any other way to really explain it to her. And they obviously begin to sumo again. And Mio goes on to explain through combat, which once again, it's typically in shonen, you do learn a lot about your opponent and yourself through combat. It's one of my favorite things about shonen, or any battle manga in general, really, where two warriors, they learn through each other, through fighting each other, understanding each other that way. But Gege did a twist on it, where not only are our two characters learning from each other on like a meta level, or Maki is learning from Mio on a meta level, where like they're fighting and she's gaining his techniques, gaining his understanding. But then Gege overlines it with what she's actually learning. The two are literally having a discussion through sumo. And they go through this whole idea of understanding the differences between oneself and one's ideals, oneself in the battle, oneself and their opponent, feeling everything, feeling every single motion and understanding what that is on a fundamental level, and that would be communication. And by doing this, by engaging in this battle, the two are communicating in a way that should allow Maki to almost transcend basic communication, basic perception, basic understanding of herself, and almost allow herself to go outside this limiting form, her own senses, and sort of develop that sixth sense, the sense that Daido has, to see everything and thus not, it's so weird, to be able to see everything but what is unseen, so you are able to perceive what is unseen, to do exactly what Toji did. Have your senses be so well trained that you can pick up on things you shouldn't be able to pick up on, like curses. It's allowing yourself to sort of become one with the world around you, in body, mind, soul, and spirit. So you are essentially fully realized as a person amongst the world rather than a person in the world. I like that. I liked it a lot. And we get to see that Mio goes on to just directly explain, right? From the moment you collide to the moment you get back in the dojo, it all flows into you. It's as if you could smell the light, or as if you could see the sound. Everything about your opponent, everything about yourself, you can feel it all. And when that happens, the body right in front of your eyes no longer matters. Even winning or losing loses its meaning. That's what the samurai meant. You could say it's freedom. And I don't know, I like the twist on that, right? Because the binds of constructs truly do limit one person, especially a person in a world where the rules of the world are flexible, to put it nicely. Like, Jujutsu sorcerers are monsters, even the most basic ones. The fact that someone like Reggie, right? Someone who, if you were to ask me, pretty darn fodder in the general scheme of things, he can make a house just appear out of nowhere because cursed energy, right? That's a freedom that no person without cursed energy has. You can go starting with fodder and go to the most insane level. Satoru Gojo. Bro's a literal time, space, manipulating demon. Like, he's something else. He has a freedom that no one else can understand through cursed energy. And with that being established, the only way for beings without cursed energy, or beings without cursed techniques, or beings like Maki, like Toji, to really achieve that level of freedom is by almost mentally and spiritually separating themselves from the constructs of the world that they are so used to seeing. The bodies in front of them, the space around them, truly being captured by themselves in an almost astral sense. That is freedom for them. They may not be able to bend time and space to their will, summon curses that manipulate reality, and or simply inverse the damage that they take, but they are still beings capable of freeing themselves. And we see Maki realizes freedom as she stomps into one last sumo stance. And finally, in this next sumo, after who knows how long, Maki is ready to experience it with her own body. And they go and clash in one more sumo. And suddenly, the domain breaks apart. And we see as the domain pieces scatter everywhere, Naoya, Daido, and Kamo all look on. We see that Mio is defeated. And Maki feels amazing. And honestly, dare I say, this is probably the most genuinely happy we've seen Maki in forever, if ever. And I like how it came about. There's two people giving it their all in sumo. Gege can really write anything. Like, I'm not gonna lie. When those two appeared at the end of 2 chapters ago, Daido and Mio, I was like, Gege. He may have, like, I legit, I won't lie to you. My brain went, Gege lost the plot. Like, I'm not sure what we're doing here. Like, I get it, we're prepping for something big, but like, Gege seriously lost the plot. However, I don't know, seeing the way he wrote it, seeing the way he flipped it, and the fact that she still has more to learn technically. Like, unless she immediately ascends to Daido's level in swordsmanship, which I don't think she will, the next chapter is going to be her simply watching, and maybe even tag teaming Naoya with Daido, watching how he wields the sword. And I'm excited for that. I don't know. For one of my favorite things in anime, I will admit, is watching characters grow through combat. It's one of my, I think it's why characters who have like mid-fight adaptations are always the most entertaining for me to watch. Like some characters like Morijin, characters like Son Goku or Naruto, like characters that you will see mid-battle be like, okay, I gotta come up with new tactics, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta learn, I gotta get better. I love seeing that. And really, I mean, you could argue that Itadori is somewhat like that, but I'd say that there's no real example in JJK of someone learning in the midst of combat like Maki did just here right now. And I love it. However, those are my thoughts. Please tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come with the channel. Also, I do a Patreon down below. You support for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dago the Pencil, writing off.